All right, hello and welcome back. We are dry. Our texture has fully dried and we're going to go ahead and start adding some pretty layers of color. Now on my palette, what I'm going to do with this is I have some teal. You can use a cobalt teal, whatever colors you like. I also have some phthalo blue, and I have a pretty fluid phthalo turquoise that I'm going to use. So adding a little of that high flow. You can use any type of paint you want for this, but I'm using a high flow phthalo turquoise. I'm using a Alright, so I have a little of the high flow phthalo turquoise on my palette. I'm going to be adding some phthalo blue, which is a blue-green color. And I'm going to be adding some of my teal. So these are the three colors that I'm using as my base, and I'm going to add and subtract as we go along. I'm going to put a little water in my palette. See how that high flow definitely moves quickly. I'm also going to add a little of my glaze. This is a satin glazing, acrylic glazing. A little water on my brush, and I'm just going to mix this up so I get a really pretty base color. Bringing in a little bit of my lighter color here. I'm not mixing the entire thing because I want to come back and use a little bit of this in a moment. So I'm sort of mixing on one side. Now working on my canvas. I'm going to give it a very light mist with my mister bottle and work to lay this down, starting from the top of the canvas and working down to the bottom, which is by me. Now as you can see, I'm not getting a full 100% layer, and that's perfectly fine. The more that I get a little broken up layers, the more interesting it is versus just being 100% flat blue on the bottom. And that is why I work with glazes, because it gives you that pretty translucency. It does require a little more patience. It requires a little more time to create the artwork versus just laying down a layer of blue. But you get a very pretty translucency of layers built up. So I'm smoothing this out. It's a very light coat. I'm moving back and forth just to vary the brush stroke a little. Back and forth, just to smooth this out as much as possible. Alright, so that's where I'm at right there. I've got lots of white bits showing through, and that's where I'm going to pick up a little bit more of my cobalt teal or my teal or lighter color and move that in. It's a little more of a green color. Again, you can work with any colors you like. This is what I've chosen for this painting. I just want to bring a little variation of color in by doing that. And I'm working quickly before the acrylics dry. Smoothing it out kind of like I did the first layer. I'm going to mix a little more of that blue in with that and lay that down in a couple of my areas. So I have a little more depth, a little lightness. The entire base of my painting. I do have a few whiter areas that didn't catch as much paint, but that's okay because we are going to put another layer on. But generally I've got the base of my painting done here. I finished in the same direction of my painting. Since this is basically a vertical painting, I'm finishing with a vertical stroke. I'm going to let this dry really well, another day or two, and we're going to put another layer of glaze on top of this, and then we'll be working with the surface, or working with the surface texture. And when I finish, I like to go around and make sure that I've gotten any drips off the sides of my painting, so we can finish those off in the end and there's no globs of paint or anything. So go ahead and let that dry really well, and then we will come back and do yet another layer.